YouTube do-it-yourself auto repair people. Hey, I've got an E70, a 2011 BMW X5. I replaced the rear brake pads, and that's pretty simple. Unfortunately, the rear brake sensor, which is on the passenger side, requires the removal of the fender liner, the wheel well liner, and a couple of those components. And I hate to replace those little clips. I always seem to break them off, so here's my video. Unfortunately, it looks like there's a few of them that BMW designs to be used only once. And there you go. So I didn't start this when I started taking things apart, but I'm going to show you what it looks like when it comes apart, and hopefully that will make it a little bit easier for you to take it apart. And I'll show you some of the steps I use to get it back into place. So here's a picture of the liner as it kind of sits in the position on the car, but it's not in the car. The first thing that you'll need to know is right on the front end, we have that little lip right there. And that little lip sits underneath, it sits in a little channel. And I'll show you where that is. Okay, here we are at the lower door well. And you can see the fender comes up, the fender and the wheel well. There's the brake assembly. But back on the front here, you can see the, in this case, red metal and the plastic lower piece there. Your fender liner has to fit in between those. And I didn't want to take that whole thing apart. You're able to get it out if you're careful about it without bending it or breaking it. There is this little piece that needs to come off. So you've got a couple nuts on there. This one sits in my car. It sits just like that, just a little water guard, something or other. So there's 3 screws that hold that on. You pull that off, and you're able to kind of wiggle the liner out of that little slot right along here. And once you get all that out, it makes accessing this little box right there for the brake wear sensor. I bought mine from the BMW dealership, that little sensor, and it cost me 40 bucks. And so the next time I'm just going to replace my brakes, because the new brake pads cost about 80 bucks. And so I'm just going to replace the pads before I wear out that sensor again. Anyway, I have the liner back in place now. And what I do is I use a screwdriver, and I kind of hold it away just a little bit and use the screwdriver to kind of poke that flange down in between the 2 pieces that it needs to go into. And it just kind of slides into place. You need to make sure the fender liner is underneath this piece right here. If you start out with that outside, you'll get it in there, and then you won't be able to get this little edge back in there, so you have to kind of take it apart. But so you know what to expect there. The rest of the fender liner is just a couple nuts and a couple little push pins, and those are pretty straightforward. The wheel well molding is this. Sorry, I apologize for my camera crappiness, but so there's a little piece of molding that goes over the fender, over the wheel well, and here's what you're looking at when you put that back in. In addition to, sorry, I'm trying to hold the light. In addition to the pieces that pop in to all these holes that you can readily see coming around, coming around the fender. This piece has several pins that are on the outside of the body. So you've got a pin there, you come around, there are several pins that pop into place. You have to carefully kind of pop those out. And you can do it with screwdrivers. If you have little plastic body panel tools, those are going to save your paint. In addition to these pins, I'll show you where these pins are on the fender. See on the molding, you can see the pins right there, all the way around. But in addition to those, they've got these clips right there. So you've got 1, 2, 3 clips on the front side, and that's it for the clips on the front side, or on the back side, I'm sorry. They're on the top, and they slot into additional holes all the way around the fender liner too. You've got another one, you've got one right there, and then there's none there, and then there's just one little piece right there that has to slot into place. And I'm always really nervous about, you know, tugging and yanking and pulling, because I hate to break stuff. And so I hope that helps just a little bit to get all that stuff off. Again, like I say, next time I'm just going to replace the brake pads well before it looks like they're going to hit the wear sensor, and just save me the trouble. I'm going to show you the little fittings that pop into the underside, into the wheel well side, pop into the fittings, into those little spaces right there that are kind of just above the wheel. Those, hope you can see that, yeah, those are these things right here. And what happens is, on this side right here, you've got to take a little punch, and you've just got to pop the punch in right there. And I'm gonna just set that down and see if I can show that to you a little bit. Okay, so you take a punch and you just stick it in the hole right there, and you pop this little fitting, you pop this little fitting out, and then the whole pin just kind of straightens out like that. And then you can just, you know, use your screwdriver or your clip remover and just kind of slide those things out. I believe that these are one-use units, because I can't think of any way to get those back in there and then pop that pin back into place to hold everything. And so what I think happens is that there's a part of the pin that breaks off, and if I'll finish this by going to the dealership again and getting a bunch of these, because I'm sure that pin's going to be long enough to stick through this side of the fitting, and then when you install it, you pull it tight, and it mushrooms these little plastic tabs, and then you just break it off. I think it's a little brake clip that makes that work. So if you're getting your wear sensor from the dealership or your brake pads from the dealership, get enough of these clips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Get 7 of these clips, because I think they're going to be just a one-time use. That's another reason to just replace the brake pads before the sensor hits. I hope this has been helpful. I apologize for the crappy camera work, but this is about as much effort as I was willing to put in. If somebody would have been kind enough to do this for me, I'd have been grateful, even with the bad camera work. But there you go. I hope it's been helpful. Good luck. Hey, it's a couple days after the brake sensor replacement job, and just making a little follow-up video. Well, the end of the repair video. It turns out that those little plastic body fittings are indeed blind rivets. And what you do is you pop those into place just like any blind rivet. You see them in Lowe's or Home Depot. The Pop brand is pretty popular. But you pop that into place, and then you stick a little tool on it. This is a Craftsman brand blind rivet setter. Unfortunately, this little unit doesn't have a big enough hole to fit the blind rivet in there. The plastic blind rivet is so big that one wouldn't fit. It just so happens that I have another riveter that is a really big one. It's called a Big Daddy blind rivet puller. And lucky for me, one of the fittings is big enough that I was able to put those rivets in there and then use this tool to pull them and to tighten everything up. The bad news is that this little rivet gun is about $100, something like that. And it occurred to me after I put all this together that it is entirely possible that one of the other similar type rivets, out of a Chevy or a Ford or, whatever other brand, may just work, the kind that are reusable. You may be able to find one that's the same size, so it may reduce the need or eliminate the need to actually buy the rivets from BMW if you want to spend a little time down at O'Reilly or AutoZone or one of the parts stores looking through the stock of body panel fasteners that they have. That just may be an option. But I just wanted to follow up and let you know that those little rivets, once you punch them out, you can't reuse them, and you have the option of going back to the dealership and buying the rivets like I showed you. Well, essentially a new rivet. It's got the little tail that I was talking about, and that's in fact exactly what it was, just a plastic one of these. But you may be able to get along, like I said, going to an auto parts store and just finding a fastener that is a reusable style that kind of fits the same hole size, grip length sort of a thing, and that may work for you. So I hope this has been helpful. Good luck with your own repairs.